Well, hello YouTube, it's me, Fortmaster, and welcome to a new reaction. This is gaming's most sleep-deprived protagonist by B4 Brandos. And, well, this was a suggestion on my Discord server, repeatedly, by Stan Alexandru G. Honestly, I'm sorry that it took me so long to actually get to this, request. And honestly, if I had known it was under 10 minutes, I would have watched it a lot sooner. So yeah, God, Gordon Freeman, the ultimate silent protagonist. Oh, God. And it said, in the title, hasn't slept since 1998. And, actually thinking about that, I remember, this was like, I remember this being pointed out to me like several months ago. Actually, no, it was in the comment section of like, of an animation. If I can find it again, I'll put it in the video here. But the comment on that video specifically pointed out that, like, from Gordon's perspective, it's been less than a week since the end of the world. In Half-Life 1, he goes to work, like, the end of the world happens with the Black Mesa incident. He goes to an alternate dimension to, like, fight aliens. Then he gets swooped up by the G-Man. It basically puts into, like, into stasis for... God, well, I think almost like 30 years, and then it's just plopped out in the middle of the future, and like the few people that he does recognize from Black Mesa are now much older than before. And his potential love interest, who is the daughter of one of his former co-workers, is like now the same age as him. Where the last time he potentially saw her was as like a picture on his coworker's desk. So for him, it's not even been like it's only been like a week since all of this went down technically for him. So it's absolutely nuts when you actually think about it. And thinking about it, like, I mean, granted, I love silent protagonists. If you remember, earlier this year, there was the whole AAA Mario meme that was going on, and that very specific way that a lot of AAA games, talk and how the dialogue is written. And you don't get that with, with earlier first-person shooters where, the protagonist was silent like Gordon Freeman. But at the same time, like, the one downside with that is that you don't get, Gordon's perspective from it. Because again, for him, he's been going through a lot in what is, from his perspective, a very short amount of time. So actually thinking about it, I have no idea whether this video is going to be more serious or if it's going to be more comedic. I mean, given the thumbnail, I can almost guess it's going to be more comedic, but again, I don't know. So, yeah, without any further ado, let's actually get into this. So, of course, as always, original videos linked in the description if you haven't seen it for some reason. Corner video lead to my Let's Play of the day. And if you like this video or any other video that I make, I'd very much appreciate it if you gave the video a like and subscribe to my channel, because almost 3/4 of the people that watch my videos aren't subscribed, and I'd very much like that to change, because my next big goal is hopefully at 10,000 subscribers. And if you want to support me, but don't feel confident about becoming a YouTube or Patreon member, feel free to use the Super Thanks option underneath all of my videos. But yeah, with all that out of the way, let's get this thing started then, shall we?
Imagine getting up to go to work for the day, and taking one last look at your apartment, you close the door. But imagine if you never came back. That's Gordon Freeman's story in the Half-Life series. From the end of Half-Life 1, Gordon is hired/coerced into working for the G-Man, and from there he's placed into stasis until he's needed again. But something that's always fascinated me about this series is that Gordon's story is absolutely disconnected from the events of the games. Through stasis, Gordon doesn't age and doesn't experience the passage of time. He's just dropped from one war zone into another, which has always led me to wonder, how long has it been since Gordon slept? Now to talk about this, we need to get some stuff out of the way first. At the start of Half-Life 2, G-Man says this:
"No one is more deserving of a rest."
So, video over, right? Well, no. I think if Gordon not sleeping is ever brought up in future games, then it will just be a case of, yeah, G-Man's void just recharges Gordon, so he's fine, don't worry about it. But since it's never been overtly stated, we just have to go off what we see in the game. Since all Gordon-based Half-Life games follow his perspective religiously, we have to assume that the last thing we see in Half-Life and the first thing we see in Half-Life 2 happen like this for Gordon.
Wisely done, Mr. Freeman. I will see you up ahead.
Rise and shine, Mr. Freeman. Rise and shine.
So now that we've established this, even if G-Man can physically rejuvenate Gordon's stasis, science says he can't mentally rejuvenate him. And why's that? Well,
I mean, it's because it's the whole thing that, I mean, from the little bit of the stuff I do know, it's that, you know, going to sleep is a very, actually, the process of going to sleep is, very important for your brain, because it allows you to actually, sort through your brain to sort through your memories. I mean, actually, if I remember correctly, they actually kind of showed that in Inside Out, where they just kind of, dump all the memories into long-term storage. But again, but also just, stopping again, that whole thing where it's for him, it went immediately from Half-Life 1 to Half-Life 2, instantly like that. And, God, honestly, that is, I mean, even if they did perfect the technology, that's kind of, that's a part of the reason why I would never want to be put into, cryogenic stasis. Even if it was for, medical reasons or something, you have these people who have their heads frozen for, waiting for a time they can be, revived through medical science. But for me, I don't think I'd be able to just mentally handle just all of the sudden change. Again, I have Asperger's, that's on the autism spectrum. One of the major things that is, quote unquote, wrong with me is my inability to handle sudden change. So, if you had it where, in one moment you're in 2025 and the next you're in 2100, and not only is everybody that I knew most likely going to be dead, but all of society has most likely changed or been rewritten to the point that, for me at least, it would be, if not unrecognizable, then just strange and completely foreign, because I didn't live through the process of it changing.
Well, if an individual is paused, then so would their brain function, essentially not allowing for sleep. Because sleep isn't just being unconscious. Sleep is a process our brains undertake which allows us to consolidate memories, re-energize our bodies, and ease the brain by reducing its activity for a certain amount of time. To fully perform this process, a human adult needs 7 to 9 hours of sleep, and these numbers only go up if an individual has gone through an extremely stressful or traumatic experience, like, I don't know, running around a research facility that's been invaded by aliens for 2 days straight? If Gordon is simply being put on pause, then his brain would not have had any time to do any of this stuff. Okay, so now that I've bent over backwards, justifying how you can't get mad at me because of this little funny video I'm making about something that the writers probably didn't even think about, let's get to how many days Gordon was awake for. So our first day of Gordon being awake begins in Half-Life 1. Gordon goes to work, causes a resonance cascade which brings aliens through holes in reality, and begins working his way through Black Mesa. At first his objective is to escape, but as he moves through the facility, he's either sidetracked by helping scientists or killing aliens. The next time we see the surface is during Chapter 5, where it's still daylight, so we can assume that this is the same day.
But it's the afternoon or something.
Which is supported by Chapter 8, where we go outside again to launch a rocket in the dead of night. But during Chapter 9, we're ambushed by a government cleanup unit called the HECU and knocked out. Gordon wakes up in a trash compactor, and it's now day outside. By the way, I'm not counting getting knocked out as sleep, because if any of you have ever been knocked unconscious by something, then you'd know it's anything but a restful slumber. This leaves us now at 1 day of Gordon getting no sleep. Moving on to the second day, Gordon plays through the next 9 chapters of the game, with them being residue processing, questionable ethics, surface tension, forget about Freeman, Lambda Core, Zen, Gonox Lair, Interloper, and Nyland. and prologue, but that's not a chapter, come on. Through these chapters, Gordon does considerably more work than he did in the first half of the game, with him going head to head with the HECU and the alien forces in a full-on assault, as well as Black Ops units. And that's only on Earth, because near the end of the game he travels to an alien dimension named Zen and kills two of the most dangerous creatures there, the Gonarch and the Nyland. So after all this,
again, like the Gonarch, like, again, like the fact you call it that when it has that big hanging sack, like, I mean, like, who named it? A 5-year-old?
G-Man swoops in to offer us a job that pays nothing, has zero work-life balance, plus he'll feed us to a bunch of aliens if we don't accept it.
That's outrageous. Done.
With Half-Life's ending and Gordon going into stasis, we now have 2 days of Gordon not sleeping, a number that will pile up in Freeman's next adventure, Half-Life 2! So after 20 years in stasis, G-Man sends Gordon out into the world that's been destroyed by the consequences of the resonance cascade. Ending up in a train station in Half-Life 2's intro, we begin Gordon's 3rd day of fighting for his life, and during this day, Gordon gets up to all kinds of stuff, like meeting some allies from Black Mesa, getting on the Combine's most wanted list, and shooting his way through the sewers of City 17. All up, Gordon plays through 5.5 chapters on this day: Point Insertion, a Red Letter Day, Root Canal, Water Hazard, and Black Mesa East. By the time Water Hazard takes place, it's late afternoon, and Gordon pilots an airboat through the canals, with his destination being Black Mesa East. Reaching the research base, the sun sets, but there's no rest for Gordon because the base is attacked by the Combine, forcing us into the abandoned town of Ravenholm. Now, this town is abandoned, but it isn't abandoned, since the population is mostly made up of headcrab zombies, so Gordon has to fight his way through the town for the entire night. And we know the chapter takes up the full night because emerging from the mines that lead out of the town in the next chapter, it's morning, beginning our 4th day of Gordon not sleeping. Day 4 is made up of 4 chapters: Highway 17, Sand Traps, Nova Prospect, and Entanglement. Highway 17 takes up a majority of the day as Gordon has to drive down a coastal road while dealing with multiple roadblocks and Combine attacks. So by the time he reaches the beaches on the outskirts of Nova Prospect, it's already nighttime, and we spend the entire night fighting through the prison. While in the prison, we meet up with Alex, and taking a teleporter with her that malfunctions, we go back to City 17, only to find that the process took 2 weeks. Going outside, we've entered...
God, that's the thing. I have, all the Half-Life 2 games on Steam, though I cannot remember if I've ever actually, played them to completion. I completely forgot that there was another 2-week time skip hidden in there. Oh God, poor Gordon, poor Gordon. Thinking about it, this really does remind me and kind of add some actual some very valid reasoning to Freeman's Mind. If you've never watched it, Freeman's Mind is a show made by Ross of Accursed Farms. The guy whose helm stopped killing games. It's one of the series he makes. And basically, it's a sort of Let's Play style series where it's the internal monologue of Gordon Freeman as he goes through through the games and the adventure and stuff like that. It started with Half-Life 1. He's currently slowly making his way through Half-Life 2, and the way he's always depicted Freeman has always been a little on edge and a little out there a little bit in the beginning, but as the series has gone on and Freeman goes through more and more stuff, he's become increasingly erratic and insane as the series has gone on. And I remember thinking back in the day when I first realized that, it's that's kind of funny. But, again, looking at it through the perspective of this video and what I said before about actually thinking about, for Gordon, it's been, less than a week or something since all this actually began. Yeah, I can kind of understand why you might depict him as starting to lose his mind.
Our 5th day of Gordon fighting for his life in a row, and during this day we assist the rebellion in fighting the Combine, a fight which eventually leads us to the Citadel where we kill Dr. Breen and once again get pulled away by G-Man, who says, "Good job, Gordon. See you later, alligator." But Gordon doesn't actually have to wait that long, since he shows up in Half-Life Episode 1 to give us a new mission, but he's interrupted by some Vortigons that pull Gordon out of stasis and back into City 17 a few days after Half-Life 2 ended, beginning Gordon's third 6th day of violence and bloodshed, and this day is one of his busiest since both episode 1 and episode 2 happen on this exact day. During these events, Gordon helps evacuate a bunch of civilians from City 17, drives through the countryside, defends White Forest from a Combine assault, and launches a rocket to prevent the Combine's reinforcements from coming to Earth. After this, Eli tasks Gordon with finding and destroying the Borealis in the Arctic, but before that can happen, Eli is killed by an advisor, leaving Gordon, for the first time ever, with no objective. Until Half-Life Alyx came out. In the past, G-Man makes a deal with Alyx to prevent her father's death in exchange for her taking Gordon's old job, and in a post-credit scene, Eli vows revenge on G-Man for taking his daughter and hands Gordon his crowbar.
Yeah, Gordon's like, I just want to sleep, man. Oh god, yeah, I forgot how. God, like, I remember how excited everybody was who went to the ending of, you know, Half-Life Alyx. But just like thinking about it, how like, oh god, they've messed up the timeline. Oh god, oh no.
So yeah, that's Gordon's journey thus far. If we run through the idea that stasis does not allow a person to rest, then Gordon has mentally been running on sheer willpower and morphine for 144 hours or 6 days straight. In that time, he has thwarted an invasion of Earth, fought a special marine unit, a special black ops unit, an alien race, traversed a government facility the size of a small city, traversed an alien world, killed a super alien, fought an alien empire, broke into a supermax prison, incited a revolution, crippled an alien empire's stranglehold on Earth, killed his old boss, delayed a nuclear-level explosion, and prevented the Combine from reinvading Earth. This has always been one of my favorite things about Gordon Freeman. The guy literally has no character. He's just a vessel for the player, and yet his situation is kind of unique. From the moment the resonance cascade begins, Gordon tries to escape the facility, but as soon as an opportunity arises to fix the situation, he takes it. And in the second game, every move he makes is moving towards getting the Combine off Earth, because the Combine themselves are also a product of the resonance cascade. Another consequence of the experiment that he was a part of. But why does Gordon do it? Why does he keep going after all this? Well, it's because he's the one free man. The right man in the wrong place. Look, I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't have the answers, and I'm not about to try and assign a character motivation to a dude who has literally never said a single word in any of the games. The whole point of this video is just to try and sum up that this guy has been awake for 6 days, and all he's done is run, fight, kill, and feed his morphine addiction. That's it. I'm just saying, someone's got to help this guy. Like, come on. Someone tell Gordon that the Combine are gonna blow up Earth if he doesn't take a nap or something.
You know, honestly, you know what I'd love to see? At, like, if, you know, Half-Life 3 ever actually comes out, I'd love if at the very end, like, they do the same thing that they did in, what was it, the first South Park game, where your player character, for the first time, like, actually speaks up and just tells the other characters to F off and leave him alone? Oh, God. But, yeah. Again, that was a nice little video. Now I'm upset I didn't watch that earlier. Oh, that sucks. But yeah, I mean, again, it just, out of like all the game protagonists you can think of, I honestly cannot think of another character who's gone through so much in such a short amount of time. I mean, like, close second would probably be like Chell from Portal, because she went through Portal 1 and then was kind of put into stasis and went straight into Portal 2. But again, with the portal stasis, it's very much like you're putting. Maybe she might have slept. I don't know. God, but yeah, that was definitely something. So yeah, I hope you guys liked. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you have not, and pray for Gordon Freeman. He needs it. Good night.